With some more RTD News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, Congress is coming after your 401k. America's pension crisis is getting worse. I'm going to be covering several different articles, all dealing with the ongoing pension crisis we're experiencing here in America and what is to come. And so we're only 4 days into the new year, and already we have news about countries deciding to remove themselves or rethink the dollar, or aka dump the dollar. President Erdogan in Turkey tells his citizens in order to help the country out, it'd be in your best interest to go under your pillow, grab the dollars, the euros, and gold. And as you tell from today's title, how the baby boomers will lose their retirement nest egg, I want to share with you a couple thoughts as well as some articles on how the next market correction will be catastrophic for a lot of people. Always cash crisis. Working about Venezuela once again. Systemic important banks. They removed the 1,000 called monetary awareness. All right, it's 12:17ish afternoon on the 8th day of the month of January 2020, and here we are. So I figured I would take a minute, connect via news update. And so I had a chance to glance at or listen to some of President Trump's speech, but yet in the very first minute or so of it, a lot of things stood out to me of where I just unfortunately wasn't able to agree. But so I figured let's talk about that today. Let's throw it out there. And so I'll actually play a little bit of the speech, go through it, break it down like I was a commentator or something of that nature, get your guys' thoughts on it, and just talk through what's currently going on, because as of last night, I was anticipating waking up to something a lot different than what it appears like I'm hearing. And so I wanted to see what you guys think about that. So welcome to the RTD News Update Midday Stream. My name is Mike. And so before we move forward, I want to make sure I encourage you guys to connect with me via social media down here. And so we got 3 over here, Gab, Minds, and Steemit. And then we got BitChute and Float. Scroll down to the bottom of this video, connect with us, connect with me via those media sources there. If you are on those channels, I encourage you to do so. It's always good to have a backup in the form of somewhere where you guys can connect outside of here. So that being the case, how's everybody doing this afternoon? We woke up to a much different reality than what I was anticipating based upon what I was seeing last night with those missiles hitting the U.S. base apparently. So we got Joe Bradford, so we got James, we got Boots on the Ground, we got Tony, we got Overtax, we got Aristos. Greek is here. How you doing, my friend? How's everything happening in Greece? Curious to find out about the economy there. What's going on in Greece? Let us know. We got Kamitha says hello from Connecticut. We got says I started my Mike apocalypse. It has started Mike apocalypse. Donald Muhammad says it's really Iran backing down, Trump making all that threats, and heard a lot of more humility. Yeah, good point. I'm in New York. Okay, good deal. But curious to find out what's going on in Greece still, because outside of the fact I know the economy wasn't doing too well, I imagine under the new leadership you guys have there, it's probably gotten a lot tighter. So curious to find out what's going on. But let's get right into the primary subject matter. So let me pull up here. So I had a chance to listen to a little bit of the speech. And so I figured what I'll do today is I'll play some of it and commentate or just share my thoughts throughout, because when I've heard the first statement, when President Trump said Iran is backing down, it looked like they're backing down, I wasn't quite sure what exactly he meant by that, because it was less than 24 hours ago. Apparently they shot some missiles towards U.S. territory. And then President Trump was saying a while back, I'll actually pull up a tweet here. It says, this was as of January 5th. It says, these media posts will serve as a notification to the United States Congress that should Iran strike any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back, and perhaps in a disproportionate measure or manner. Such legal notice is not required, but is given nevertheless. So on January 5th, President Trump was clear via Twitter. I have the actual proof here that if Iran striked, the United States will quickly and fully strike back. So I'm assuming, if you guys are watching this, you see what I got here on the screen. President Trump was quoted as saying, quickly, fully. Now we are how many ever hours, less than 24 hours. And President Trump just gave a speech saying it looks like Iran is backing down. So between the removal of the Iranian general last week, to that tweet saying that it'd be a quick and full response to the president giving a speech today saying we're backing down. Iran is back down. I'm not sure how, because if I'm not mistaken, that red flag, which signals all-out fledged war, for the most part, I would assume jihad in full force. President Trump saying they're backing down. So somebody let me know. So am I misinterpreting something? Am I not reading something correctly? What's going on? Like, I'm curious to find out via chat. Phones lines are not open. Curious to find out what you guys think. We got Scott from the UK. Sean says, trade deals next week. Don't be surprised if a major false flag happens this weekend to cause a problem with the deal. As of now, based upon President Trump's speech, and this is just his response to what happened yesterday, I could see him backing down from this tweet of all out saying that we going full fleet ahead, whatever, because of the trade deal. Because if we send something back, and if it escalates more outside of what has transpired thus far, China will officially announce that they're not signing nothing. So in protection of his trade deal, I would imagine the narrative is probably changing, because if the U.S. responds again in military might with military force, the trade deal is definitely off. Problem is, the markets, which right now is responding in a favorable manner, equities are up and metals is down a little bit, or vice versa. Everything of that old financial paradigm should be in the red, and everything that's been undervalued should be heavily green right now. You know what I mean? But that's not the case. So clearly, there are some things happening behind the scenes that makes this a very interesting narrative, a very interesting story that we're a part of, because nothing makes sense on the surface. So what we got here? Let me see here. It says, Iran will attack when we seem to have forgotten about the situation. Eternals. Very good point. I don't doubt it, because the U.S. has caused a much major blow, or much more damage to the Iranian country by killing the number 2 person, the general. And then listen to President Trump. I'm going to play a little bit now. He's painting this guy as having had such a heavy influence on the destruction in that region, of where I'm thinking, like, hold on. I'm like, didn't the U.S. fund terrorism too? Didn't we fund all type of oppositions to everybody that opposed what they were trying to do? So I'm like, ISIS, ISIL, Al Qaeda, all that was funded by the U.S. So I'm like, okay, so what script? Who wrote that script, President? Tony Blaylock says, what did Russia and China do? Question, this is purely an oil play. By doing tariff only, put more tariff taxes on us. Very true. So, Tony, good point. As of now, Russia and China seems to be just playing it easy. They're watching. And I know I saw something about Russia was meeting with President Erdogan the other day. And on another note, since we got some news here, let me go ahead and give you guys a little insight as to something that is probably good to say you have not came across this yet. Let me show you guys something I came across in the news today. Let me see if I can find it real quick. No, I can't. I'll try to find it. But I came across an article, and I would rather find it than just call off the top of my head. But anyway, with that being the case, I'm going to play some of this President Trump speech here, give you guys a chance to listen to the president directly, because I think from what I was expecting and what we received is not the same thing that was communicated to me via this tweet that I just showed you guys. So let me grab this article here, and I'll show you another interesting story. Okay, so here's something that, once again, apart from just being notified earlier, I wasn't aware of. So it says 31,000 people fled, and I'll be pronouncing it wrong, toward Turkish border. So in Syria, 31,000 civilians have fled Syria's northwestern region to place near the Turkish border in the last 4 days amid heightened bombardments by the Syrian, and of course they use the word regime, and Russia state-run Anadolu agency reported on January 7th. So apparently it looks like, according to this article here, Assad is still terrorizing his own people, if you're to believe that. So 31,000 people fled. So that's a lot of people in the last couple of days that have uprooted themselves from the country and heading north towards Erdogan. And President Erdogan has been very clear saying that if he don't get some help, he's going to flood Europe with all these Syrians and everybody else. So we'll see what's going on with that. But I thought I would bring that to your attention because it's interesting. But let's dive right into it. So I want to play some of this speech here and get your guys' thoughts on it.
As I'm president of the United States, Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
All right, so here we go. Very first thing. As long as I'm president, Iran will not be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Okay, is all this about nuclear weapons? Or is this a front? The nuclear program is a front for what's really underlying all of this. And it all has to do with the oil and the petrodollar system and just the fact that Iran is probably the only central bank that's not directly controlled by the banking cabal. So all that stuff like that. But he starts off by talking about a nuclear deal. What is he talking about nuclear? Like, we just got bombarded. The U.S. bases just got hit with some missiles from Iran. He's starting off talking about Iranian nuclear program under his watch. No president will allow Iran to have nuclear presidents under their watch because this is part of the narrative of they can't have nuclear power nor bombs because they're going to terrorize the world, but everybody around them has nuclear weapons except them, supposedly. So, yeah, something worthwhile.
Good morning. I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime.
All right, so no Americans were harmed during the attack by the Iranian regime. I love how the Western narrative always uses the word regime. Imagine, I imagine, and this is just me a little commenting, I bet you in Iran, Iraq, Yemen, and all those countries that are in complete disarray right now, the mainstream narrative news sources there, they probably use the words Trump regime. And so it's probably good to say, because it's all a play on words. They like to just spin words because you can create a whole narrative based upon how you word something. And so I imagine they use the words Trump regime over there. But anyway, keep moving.
We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases. Our great American forces are prepared for...
So, minimum damage at the bases. What happened to the missile defense system as was brought to my attention last night during the live stream? What type of damage with those missiles? You had more than enough warning because he's going to mention that they had a warning system. But I'm thinking, like, how come they didn't stop any of those missiles from hitting the ground, actually, if we're the most advanced military on the planet? Something to think about.
Or anything. Iran appears to be standing down.
All right, so that comment right there is what got me. Iran appears to be standing down. So look at the general. Look at President Pence over his shoulder. Look at the generals in the back. The one general. Look at the general face behind him. If you can see it, if you can actually see the gentleman right behind him, he's looking like with that face of just being shocked or wondering, is that a part of the script that we just discussed prior to us coming out here to support you by standing behind you? So it appears to be Iran is backing down. Now, here's a question I have for you guys. What are they backing down from? Because I would imagine that red flag signaling full-fledged war is still flying high above the mosque in Iran. But then again, they just shot a couple missiles a couple hours ago, but yet they're backing down. That's one thing I'm like, wow, like, what happened to the tweet? Once again, I'll put that tweet back up there. For those that's tuning in, on January 5th, a tweet went out saying, if Iran strikes any U.S. person or target, the United States will quickly and fully strike back. Quickly strike back. So what is the time frame for that word quickly? I, off reading this, would have interpreted that at 7 p.m., something's in the air. By 8 p.m., there's going to be something else in the air heading in that same direction. Or opposite direction, rather. And so just one of the things that, you know, I'm trying to walk through this to better understand this. Let me know what you think in the chat.
Which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken, the dispersal of forces, and an early warning system that
all right, look at this.
Worked very well.
An early warning system. So it looks like out of all the, and so there's another tweet where President Trump's talking about we spent over $2 trillion on military equipment. We got the best equipment on the planet. And I'm thinking, just let me know, a warning system alerted them before missiles actually hit the ground at a military base with the most sophisticated, world best military equipment on the planet. All right. Okay. So I'm going to just pause right there, check in with the chat, and see, if I'm completely off, if I'm going far left field or right field or whatever field I'm going, because just things aren't really adding up to me, but, that's just me. I'm curious to find out what you think. Madero says, forget nuclear weapons. I'm worried about the EMP strike. Also something to be concerned with. Says, Trump sounds like he's out of breath, as if his heart is beating fast. I noticed that as well. It says, bombs hit base, but the system works very well. Tony, that's our president, my friend. Early warning system. Iran told the U.S. they were bombing them. I don't doubt it. And on top of that, apart from the fact that Iran, they may have an upgraded military system because they have stuff directly from Russia. They got the missile defense system, S-400, which makes it very, I don't know. I can't speak on Russian equipment, but it's probably good to say that if the U.S. was to send some things in the air, that Russian S-400 or 300, I forgot offhand exactly what it's called, but I know the entire world has been scrambling to get their hands on those things because they're Russian made. Therefore, they're not anything that the U.S. can probably either work around directly or intercept or hack or whatever. So it's good to say that, is it possibly we haven't responded just yet because we can't send nothing directly because it will probably get shot down, intercepted a lot quicker than what happened on our end when they were able to send stuff our way, but it seemed to hit the bases and we had a warning system. So that warning system, it told everybody, get out of the base, go find cover or something like that. So I'm not trying to make light of this, but these are all things that I'm just very curious about. And so the New York Red said that it's your point, it's all a show. And that's what it's looking like. And so it's looking as if like this is like I don't know how to phrase this. This is not an entertainment show, because when you talk about war, and there's usually disastrous consequences to war. But yet when you hear all this and you put the tweets and all this stuff together, you got response. It looks as if he even lied to or went back on his original tweet. If he's even really tweeting this stuff. Like, I've never really, could you think about that? Like, is it possible that he has an assistant on his hip that does the tweeting for him? As he speaks, they tweet. Because I've yet to see President Trump actually with a phone in his hand, like being caught on camera. As much as there's cameras around him, I've yet to catch him on his iPhone doing something with two fingers tweeting. But yeah, he tweets every 2 minutes. So, something to think about. But anyway, just a speech. When it started off, it got me to wondering what's going on. This is one big, as just mentioned here, a big show. But it's unfortunate that this show has it has significant consequences to the human race. Because if this thing's turned into a real escalation on both sides, it has the potential to turn into a long drawn out bloodshed of a war, which is not what we need, not what the world wants, not what you and I want. Definitely, it's good to say everybody that's tuned in right now, none of us actually want anything to do with a hot war, because we got more than enough problems here. And so just think about all the other problems we have here that it's being overshadowed by this news. The repo market, when it comes to the liquidity behind the banking sector, is completely gone haywires. $99 billion was brought into existence yesterday, Monday. And then we have the impeachment process. As of now, the Democrats and the House don't like the president at all, so they want him gone, but they're not going to send over the impeachment papers to begin the process for the Senate to go through their process, because it's going to be a laughing stock. So no Democrat would be willing to actually work with the president at this current moment, in a sense. So that means our government is divided. They just passed a $1.7 trillion budget deal. How do you pass a budget deal when you keep adding to the debt? So they need to reword that and just say an ever-increasing debt. Remove the words debt ceiling and just say unlimited debt. And we have the equities market right now. All the markets are clearly rigged because in a time of war like we're supposed to be in now, everything should be in the red except precious metals and, of course, probably cryptos as well. But yet the equities markets seem to be doing well. So that's not normal. And we got all the asset bubbles that stands to burst, all-time debt. Everybody's tapped out. This year, as I referenced a couple weeks ago, this year we're going to see more unemployment like the world has never seen since the Great Depression that happened decades ago. And speaking of which, let me pull up an article. And so I appreciate one of the community members that sent me something, and I didn't have a chance to actually look at it. But let me see. Including, so here's something. This is probably not the full article, but it's the first thing that comes to mind. And so I talked about Pier 1 closing stores. And so here's another little article here. And this one, let me open this out. I don't want to watch this. Let me go back. I apologize. So what is all this? Come on now. I don't want this. So here's an article here, if I can pull it up. But it talks about, here's an interesting article. Macy's is closing a call center in a move that will affect 800 jobs. So this is like nothing new. I've been talking about job losses for quite some time now. But yeah, this is just like fresh off the press 40 minutes ago. Like, think about the 800 people that already got a pink slip yesterday and it's just been reported today. So there's going to be more than enough bad news in regards to what's reality. This is just reality. It's not, necessarily bad news. And so I've been talking for quite some time now. I talked about this last year. You should expect, depending on what line of work you're in, you should expect a pink slip in this type of environment. This trade deal is one of the other things I forgot. If this trade deals go south next week, which it more than likely will, expect to hear more of these type of stories. So it's a lot of things in play here. And so war is the last thing we really need. But this is all a part of the distraction. So I'm going to actually put together a visual aid pretty soon, highlighting all the key triggers that can lead to what will be the transition of our monetary system into whatever they're going to roll out to us. But here we have just another story. So I appreciate the community member that brought that to my attention. Thank you. And so here we have President Trump's speech where he's starting off sharing all types of things that's questionable. I'm going to keep going and pick up with that, and we'll work with it.
I salute the incredible skill and courage of America's men and women in uniform. For far too long, all the way back to 1979 to be exact, nations have tolerated Iran's destructive and destabilizing behavior in the Middle East and beyond. Those days are over. Iran has been the leading sponsor of terrorism, and their pursuit of nuclear weapons threatens the civilized world.
All right, so two things there. Iran has been the leader of terrorist activity, and their nuclear program threatens the world. Okay, now depending on who you're talking to, who you're asking, or whatever, share your thoughts in the comment. I'll definitely touch on it. The greatest sponsor of terror. Okay, so just my 2 cents. I don't have any articles to back it up, but I've been following this for quite some time now. Saudi Arabia, the nation that technically was behind an event that occurred 20 years ago that triggered this war on terror. It was all triggered by an event that happened 20 years ago. Everybody remember that time. And so all those people that were part of that orchestrated event were all from a nation called Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia has the most to lose in that region because they are the ones that struck a deal with the United States of America directly for the petrodollar system. So they're the one with the most to lose at a time where I'm hearing from a lot of commentators that their oil sector, they don't have as much good quality oil as they used to have. So they have been in Yemen, which is right beneath them, for quite some time now, trying to get into those reserves because they're fresh and untapped, all while probably being the leading funder of all activity and disarray in that region, on top of what The United States is also funding, and the United States has been used as puppets for that region. And then you talk about what's happening with Israel and how Israel ultimately is financiering everything. All the financial matters of our planet comes from that region in the country of Israel. So that statement there, the president mentioned. Now, of course, he has to read a script. Somebody wrote it for him, but it's one of the things where I think we have a right to question, just openly, honestly question some things. So let me check in with the chat and see what you guys think about that statement there. Is there anybody out there that might agree or disagree with him? So it says, just substitute U.S. for Iran for the rest of the speech. Good point there. Let me see here. It says repo is out of control. They can't even keep oil boosted while bombing and attacking Middle East country. Went up 65, then tanked. Day before is 63. Yeah, and that's another thing. All the markets right now, they have to be strategically watched, and think about all the hands that are on deck and all the algorithms that are on deck that's being reprogrammed right now to keep an eye on all this, because all it takes is a drop somewhere to trigger something over there to respond here and this. So it's all interconnected. But see how calm the markets are in relation to how chaotic they should be, based upon the fact that just some missiles were launched. The talk of war. The mainstream media is talking about war right now, and the president just said Iran is backing down. And so the market should be reflecting something a lot different than what they're telling now, which lets me know that this is a controlled event that's happening right now in the financial realm. And it's because, in my opinion, that the established narrative of an expansion, the economy is doing great, we got to keep everything out of recession territory, has to remain. We can't be at war. Repo market the repo market spells crisis in of itself. The job markets are tanking. Stores are closing like never before. Debts are being defaulted upon as we speak. Corporate debt is at all-time high. Consumers at all-time high debt. Student loan debt. So we're in a recession. We're in a depression. I mean, I'll go out that far. I'll be willing. I'll be that guy, because this is all my opinion. We are in a depression right now, and war is the only way to keep this thing moving, because if we officially go to war, then the government has to come together and pass some type of package deal, which is going to increase the national debt at least $2 or $3 trillion. They're going to need $2 or $3 trillion to go to this war, on top of whatever else is going to be spent. And so I can pretty much say that we are probably in a depression right now. If you look at all the statistics, the measurements that was probably used to calculate what was qualified as a depression 80-something years ago, we're in one now. Problem is, you won't really know because of technology, because computer systems can keep things from actually revealing how bad they are. And it's easy when on the back end, all you got to do is type in a number with a couple zeros, hit enter, and all of a sudden an account has some credit in it, like the repo market is doing. But anyway, Justin March, I appreciate the love offering to the channel. So James says, recession, depression on the way. You look at the manufacturing slowdown. So manufacturing numbers came out for December. It's at a 10-year low in comparison to what it was. So 10 years to me spells depression. But that's just me. I seen to me. I'm probably going way too far. We're headed there now, Mike. Dexter Dave says, stagflation nation, zombie economy. Yeah, very true. Very true. I've been saying it for 6 months. We have been in depression. I'm glad someone else has paid attention to what's really going on. Thank you. Saheem Billings. Yes. So I remember about two years ago when I had Michael Pinto on the show, and he was saying that based upon his measurements and stuff at that time, if you look at the big picture, you factor in all the key indicators, we were in a depression then. And so Jerome Powell has come out and openly said that his third mandate is to keep this expansion going. So if you create a new mandate for yourself or for your organization, the Federal Reserve, then that right there lets me know that if you're creating that, that's because you're fearing that, which means it's probably already occurring now, is how I took it that. And so the Joker said, Trump said Iran is standing down. What a joke. Keystrokes and silver goes down. Yeah. Or some type of text or email sent between some traders in some of the banks right there. So sell some contracts, dump, a million contracts on the market right now. Let's drop the price 50 cents. Yeah, like somebody's be willing to lose out on a trade such as what's going on with the metals market. And so Exterior 11 said, why is that a joke? It's not that it's a joke, but when you factor in all the things I've laid out, for those that might just be coming here, I've shown a couple things that will lead you to question what's going on. And the very first one happens to be with the fact that on January 5th, after all the events that happened, President Trump was quoted as saying, the United States will quickly and fully strike back if Iran strikes any U.S. target or person. We just had a couple hot missiles flying yesterday, and the president, first statement he mentioned is that Iran appears to be backing down. So between making that statement, missiles flying, the president's response, Iran is backing down. What happened in between that time frame is what I believe he was referring to, as it appears as if this is being taken as a joke, is what I would translate that as meaning. Oil should be $40 US. What is it now? I think it's around 60. It's given 55 right now. Question, whatever. So once again, here's another thing. If oil prices were to spike significantly to where it would indicate true terror and true problems in that Hormuz Strait area, if they shut down the strait and all the oil tankers that are not moving right now out of fear of a hot war, and if that was to happen, you're right, RTD is $60. Okay, so if it goes up to some astronomical amount, $70, $80, $90 a barrel, then that price, the increase in that price will be reflected at the pump. So as I think was mentioned last night, the caller mentioned about having oil prices that was back during the Bush time frame would be something that it would hurt the narrative of an economic expansion. $1 or $2 more out of your pocket to get gas would definitely be a true indicator of how bad things are. At a time, people are losing massive jobs and stuff like that. And on top of that, all the economic issues we're having. Nelson G., I appreciate that love offering for the channel, my friend. It is a blessing. Thank you. And so if oil goes up per barrel, the pump price going to go up. And imagine heading into this winter and then spring with extremely high gas prices at a time where people are losing jobs and we're at war. So it wouldn't play well to the expansion. So anticipate, and this is where I can go out there a little bit more. When I had Rob Kirby on, he was mentioning how the missing money, how it's being used to subsidize and prop up the oil market. So if we're really leading the world in oil production or whatever we're touting ourselves at doing, then I think they can probably afford a high oil price and it not to be reflected at the pump just yet. Because if it goes up at the pump, it's going to be hard to keep that narrative going of we're in a great economy. Because I'd imagine everybody's watching, you realize the economy is not really that good, right? And so your personal economy could be going well. God could be doing great things in your life, yada, yada, and everything's going good. And so you could be good there. But as a whole, as a majority, when it comes to the numbers and the measurements and the indexes and the indicators, we're not doing good. And so the Joker says, I don't want war, but Trump is playing with fire here. Persians are not to be messed with. I would agree. Oil prices inflated by 50%. U.S. military is outdated. Did that do nothing? Patriot anti-missile system stopped even incoming Iranian missiles. Patriot didn't do very well against the Yemeni attack either. So yeah, that's, I guess according to Trump, we have the most expensive, most high-tech military of all times, but according to the warning systems didn't stop any missiles from hitting the ground yesterday, but no lives were lost. And then to make it even worse, I got to find an article, but I saw something about Iran saying that lives were lost in the missile bombing. So you got Iran, if that was wherever that source was, if that's true from their end, where did they get their intel from? And then we got President Trump saying no lives were lost. So you got to wonder who's lying. You got two government leaders, if that source is correct from what I'm referring to. One says no lives were lost. The other one said other lives were lost. At this point, who do you believe? Of course you would want to, if you're American, you would want to believe your leadership, but based upon the tweets and all that stuff like that, it kind of like leaving a lot of things, a lot of gray areas there. Do the research and come back. Since I said I would hesitate to agree. So with that being the case, I just wanted to connect with you guys real quick. I didn't want to draw this out, but I just thought I would bring that to your attention that according to President Trump, based upon his initial statement, and so of course it's subject to change based upon his next tweet in the next couple hours, I would anticipate the next tweet that comes out from President Trump. Let me refresh the page and check his Twitter account. It's amazing you can connect with your president right away via Twitter and see what he's putting out there, because his Twitter account moves the world. And so on my end here, is nothing fresh via tweet-wise. Everything looks relatively old and stale, apart from his speech here that already has 1 million views from his Twitter account. So, so I'm going to leave it at that. But according to President Trump, this afternoon, Iran is backing down. It appears to be they're backing down. Who would have ever thought? And I'll just leave it at that. So with that being the case, everybody, I appreciate you guys connecting with me this afternoon. Appreciate the love offerings. Appreciate participation in the chat. And as always, for those that are tuning in, connect with me via social media, alternative media platforms beneath me here. Scroll down to the bottom of this video description. Set up an account if you have not, and connect with me here, as well as a lot of thought leaders and influencers on BitChute and Float, especially because those are more alternative media friendly. And then also, if you guys want to be a blessed to the channel outside of Super Chats, feel free to become a member of the Patreon. Got a couple of projects I'm going to be rolling out this year that I think will be a blessing to you guys. And then also, I can't leave this channel without plugging something I just put out today. And I think it's timely because as I just basically showed you guys that there's a mass hit. There's a hit out for your everyday person through the form of employment. And I just let out a video. I'll put it up here. And so I just put out a video today, this morning. Fresh, for me, it was just fresh revelation for myself. But it has to do with the giftpreneur. So make sure you guys, if you are believers in Christ, even if you're not, it doesn't exclude you. If you're interested in just getting some thought outside of problems, over there I'm talking solutions that are important to me. If you care, look up above, type in giftpreneur, follow that YouTube channel there, and I just put out a video today. I encourage you to listen to it because it's interesting. And it's episode 4, and it's entitled Jesus Quit His Day Job. And I go into how he did that and why he did that, and some examples as to why and what this whole giftpreneur concept is about. And so I think it'll be a blessing to you if you guys are interested. So giftpreneur, check into that, subscribe to that channel, and you'll get more content there based upon, I think, the greatest solution ever is what you're carrying, which is your gift, your uniqueness. So that being the case, I am done, because if you know me, I can rant on for days if I could, but I got to make some moves myself. So be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. And here's a little Patreon update. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month toward the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream. Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RTD News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, Congress is coming after your 401k.